Hey everyone, welcome to another video. So today's video is going to be a bit of motivation for me in the form of a reading vlog. Hello. So as you can see, I've got my little pals here. Qui-Gon and Yoda. They're having some cuddles and some lettuce. Yes, so good. Munching away. You've lost your bit. So if you watch my recent video I put up my November TBR, you'll know that I've got quite an ambitious TBR this month. I'm hoping to get through like sort of 10 or 11 books, which I'm not sure is doable because since I set that TBR, I've not really read that much. But the old Goodreads goal is looming, and I really want to get through the goal I set for myself this year. And considering how much time I've spent flopped out on the couch, you'd think I would have done more reading than normal. Which really hasn't changed my reading, to be honest. It's kind of around the same level as it always is. So good. Oh, I'm not taking it away from you. I'm trying to help. Good boy, Yoda. I just thought I'm going to film myself doing a little bit of a reading vlog. Do I only want to leftovers? Yes. I keep getting distracted and forgetting what I'm saying. So for a little bit of motivation and to help me keep on track, don't stand on your brother. Yoda! You're on your brother's head. Qui-Gon, to be fair, you did put yourself in a stupid position. Do you want this? Maybe filming with you guys was a bad idea. You're too distracting. Qui-Gon, honestly, it's like mindless. Hello. I think she wants to go home. Off you go to daddy. Oh. Off you go to daddy. Yeah. He's still eating. You done? You want to go back to your brother? You want to go back to your brother? Yes. Are you comfy? That's my t-shirt. Do you want to go home? Do you want to go home? Yes.
Are you?
So let's try that again. So if you watched my last video, my TBR video for this month, you'll know I've got quite an ambitious TBR because I'm trying really hard to get to my Goodreads goal of 75 books. So yeah, I can't remember how many I have left. I've got at least 15, 16 books left to read by the end of the year, something like that. So I really need to get a wriggle on. So since I set my TBR for this month, I've not really read all that much. I thought I would have at least finished a couple more than I already have. So at time of filming, I think I finished one book on my TBR of like 11, and I'd already started it last month. So that's not the best progress. So what I thought I would do is film a little sort of 48-hour reading vlog, and aim to finish sort of 3 books, maybe even start on a 4th if we're going well. So the 3 books that I'm going to try and finish by the end of this sort of 48-hour period. So it's like 8:30 tonight, and if we can do this for 2 days, that'd be great. So what I'm going to try and read in the next 48 hours is finish off the audiobook that I started. So the one I'm reading at the moment is The Worry Cure by Leahy, and I'm really enjoying it. It's super short, like 3.5 hours or something, and I'm at least halfway through. So I normally listen to audiobooks when I'm driving, sort of to and from the yard. So I've got about an hour and a half worth of driving time in the next 48 hours. So I should realistically finish that just with my journeys that I have planned, which is to go and sort Dylan out. So that should be fine. So The Worry Cure is, like I say, it's an audiobook that I'm listening to that looks at sort of the patterns of worry and kind of the sort of behaviours and mindsets you can get in and around yourself with it. It's to deal with your, deal with sort of changing your behaviour and trying to reduce the amount of time you spend worrying and things like that. So it's a really good book. It's really, really good. I'm absolutely loving it. So far, the author is just so clear with his thoughts and ideas, and he puts it forward in a really clear way. And I can relate so much of what he said. I can honestly put myself in that position. And the bits that I don't personally relate to, I know someone who behaves in that way. So I feel like it's a really relatable book. I'm definitely going to try and get a few more people to give that one a read because it's really, really good. Another book that I would like to finish in the next 48-hour period is Dance with the Devil by Sherrilyn Kenyon. So I started this book last month, I think, and I'm halfway through again, I think. I've been really reading it before bed because it's something I've read multiple times before. I don't have the same drive to go through it to find out what happened because I kind of know what happens. And with it being a paranormal romance, it's, you know, the crux of the story is, you know, two people coming together. You kind of know where it's going, and like I say, I've read it a few times before, and it's not one of my favourites in the series, but I want to read it because I think I don't know if this is a book right after it, the one after that is like my favourite of the series, so I really want to actually finish it. But because I've been reading it kind of just before bed, I tend to only get sort of 10-15 minutes done a night if I do read before bed. Sometimes I'm too tired. Since the clock's changed, I'm just so sleepy all the time. So by the time I get to bed, I pretty much just want to pass out. So I really would like to finish that one by the end of this 48-hour period. I've got another print book that I would like to get onto, and I tend to just have kind of one of each kind of medium going at one time. I tend to have an audiobook, an ebook, and a print book kind of all on the go at the same time. So I would like to make a bit of a dent in that one. So if you saw my TBR, you'll have heard a little kind of summary of Dance with the Devil as well. So basically, it's the fourth book in the Dark Hunter series by Sherrilyn Kenyon, and this one is about a dark hunter who is considered so feral and beyond help that his sort of station is in the middle of nowhere in Alaska, and he doesn't really have anybody in his life, and basically he's kind of hated by his own kind, and he kind of hates life and hates himself. It's all very dark and depressing. But the goddess Artemis has had enough with him and just basically wants him to be terminated as a dark hunter. And basically, her and Acheron are kind of debating on whether he should be allowed to live, and have decided to get him judged by sort of a justice nymph to decide whether he gets to survive or not. So like I say, I'm about halfway through that book, and it's pretty much exactly like I remembered. I think I'm maybe being a bit more critical of it than the first time I read it, just because I've now read so many more books than when I first read these ones. So I am a bit more critical of this one, and it's fine. It's just not pulling my interest as much as, well, say I expected or hoped it would. I knew it wouldn't. I put off reading this one for a little while just because I knew it was one that wasn't really my favourite. And the last book that I want to finish by the time I finish this vlog is We Regret to Inform You by Ariel Kaplan. So this is the book I've got as an ebook, and I just started reading that yesterday. So I'm only like handful of pages in. I've not got very far at all. So this book's about a kind of overachiever, smart girl trying to get accepted into really good universities, and the news has started to come through from her, the schools that she applied for, that she's not gotten in, and she's starting to panic. So basically the crux of the book is that she doesn't get into the schools that she applied for, and doesn't really understand why, and wants to find out why, and yeah. So anyway, she wants to find out why she didn't get into these schools, and kind of digs in a bit deeper on, you know, what's going on behind the admissions process, quite possibly. So anyway, I've just started that one yesterday, and I think I'm gonna really like that one. I like the style of it. It's written in quite a kind of easy to read way, so I feel like I can fly through that one quite quickly if I knuckle down and stop being distracted, because I'm really bad for getting really just procrastinating. It's like my worst habit. So like I'll sit with my books and I'm like, oh, I'll just tidy this up, and oh, I'll just go and, you know, make this, do that, watch this TV show. Discovering Sister Sister on Netflix has not done my TBR, has not done my reading any favours. I'm into the third season, and I started watching it earlier this week. So I'm having total nostalgia for what I used to watch when I was younger. But yeah, like I say, I'm now midway through season 3, and I think that's maybe hampered my reading quite a bit. So those are the 3 books that I really want to get to and get through by the end of this sort of 40-hour reading log. And I will give you updates and let you know how I'm getting on. And hopefully this will just get a bit of motivation for me to get me to finish a few more and actually make at least a bit of a dent in this TBR, because otherwise it's going to be a complete fail. It's the 13th and I've finished 1, so that's not good. So I'm hoping that having a bit of accountability to give you guys updates will make me power through some of these books and stop procrastinating, because it is actually a real problem at this point. And I think tonight what I'm going to do is settle down with We Regret to Inform You, because that's the book that's got the biggest pull for me at the minute. So I've got my Netflix fireplace on to give it sort of some cozy vibes. I've got my blanket, and I'm just going to chill out and read this ebook, and I will let you know how I get on with that, and hopefully I don't fall asleep, because when I get all comfy and cozy and snuggle down with a good book, I tend to just want to have a little sleep. I'm such a dopey person. So anyway, I will catch up with you guys later and let you know how I'm getting on. Weird, the sun makes me sneeze and my vlog camera makes me yawn. Hey there, just another update. So I managed to do like another hour of procrastinating since my last update. I did some browsing for Christmas presents online. I took my makeup off and I browsed phone cases, because what else? But I did eventually actually manage to get comfy and read. So I'm probably now about 60 or 70 pages into We Regret to Inform You. So obviously the premise of this one was that the main character, Misha, gets rejected from all of the universities that she applies to. So we're kind of just now at the point where she's received her last rejection letter and is obviously feeling like her future's going down the toilet. So it's really good. I'm really enjoying it. It's quite funny, but equally like the situation's so horrible. I can feel her pain. Like, it would be your worst nightmare if your mum had scraped and saved to put you through this fancy private school to give you the best chance of getting into an Ivy League school, and you can't even get into your safety school that people are embarrassed to admit they've gone to. So yeah, she's definitely in a bit of a pit of despair at the minute. So that's obviously we kind of hit the point that we know. We've hit the point in the story of like everything we kind of know from the blurb. So I'm not really sure where it's going to go from there. If she's going to try and figure out how she's managed to not be accepted anywhere, because she's like talking about her fellow classmates and how she's had like higher grades than them, or she's done better about in different things from them. And it's like, so how did they get accepted to where they wanted to go and she didn't? So yeah, I'm not sure where it's going to go from here, but I'm very curious to see what she does next. It's quite quick to go through. I'm reading it quite quickly, but I must admit, she's so tense and freaking out. It's making me like, I feel like I have secondhand like anxiety from watching her be so destroyed by this. So it's uncomfortable at the minute, because I can kind of relate to like that fear that like, oh my god, what do? You're not going to get into uni, kind of a thing. So yeah, I will see how that goes. I'm probably going to stop reading that one for now. I've just switched over to watching Only Fools and Horses, because what else would you do on a Friday night? And I might read a bit of my other book, Dance with the Devil Before Bed, and if I do, I will let you know how I got on with that one. But I must admit, I'm getting pretty tired, so there's probably not going to be a lot more reading going on tonight, but I will fill you in tomorrow and see if I can continue actually making my way through these books. Bye for now. Hey everyone, so it is the next day. So before I went to bed, I did end up reading a bit more of my book. So I was actually quite glad I read a bit more of this one. Because reading about we regret to reform you, she was stressing me out. She's no. This got me nice and chilled before bed, which was good. So yeah, we're moving along quite nicely. Getting a bit more into sort of the action kind of part of the book, which is better. There's kind of like a part. It sounds really bad. It's kind of like the romancy part, and it's not my favorite in this one. Like, I just feel like there's like action bits and romance bits, and they're very separate. And I'm really glad we're getting more into the action parts of this one, because the romance bit is kind of what lets it down, in my opinion. So we're getting on with the actual action part. Like I say, in this one, Zarek is being judged to see if he is going to be allowed to survive. And basically Astrid is the judge, and her job is to decide whether he should be saved or not. But before she's made her decision, the executioner is kind of already on the way. So, like I say, he's kind of turned up, and we've gotten sort of the action part of things starting up, which is good. It's a lot more entertaining. So yeah, I'm going to carry on with this one today. I'm now, that way through. Don't judge me for dog earing the pages. I know a lot of folk hate that, but I always lose bookmarks. So I might get through a good chunk more of this today, because actually I was enjoying this one quite a lot last night, now that it's gotten back into the good bit. So yeah, and I also need to keep ploughing through my other book, the We Regret to Inform You, because that goes back to my library in about 5-6 days, so I really want to get that done this weekend as well. But like I say, I'm finding it quite stressy at the minute, because I'm just like, oh, what a horrible situation. And also, I feel like there must be something wrong. Like I was saying in my last check-in, she's been rejected from all of her schools, but she's a good candidate, so there's no reason for her to be rejected from everywhere, even the safety school. So I feel like there has to be something more to this. It can't just be a case of she's not gotten in. There must be something underlying here, because why would people better than her? Why would she not get in, and people who are not as good as her get in her place, kind of a thing. So I'm not sure where that's going to go, but hopefully that kind of gets more into that kind of aspect soon, because right now she's just running around in a panic. So hopefully we get a bit more meat into there for a while, and it's not just her flapping for the next few hundred pages. But I will let you know how I got on later. I'm gonna go have some lunch. I had a really late start this morning. I just was a lazy fart and didn't get out of bed. So it's actually lunchtime, so I'm gonna go eat, and I'll need to fit in going to see Dylan later on today. So I'm not sure if I'm going to do some reading now before I go, or catch up again in the afternoon. But I will fill you in on how I'm getting on. Hey there, so it's a bit later on, and I've been binging on Netflix again. So I've not made much progress. This vlog is not helping me get motivated as much as I hoped it would. But I'm now in the car, and I'm going to be listening to my audiobook, which is The Worry Cure. So hopefully I get a bit more of this listened to. It did occur to me that I'm not sure how well this is going to flow as a reading vlog, with me jumping over 3 books at the same time. Because obviously I know what I'm reading, but I don't know if that's going to be really confusing to watch for folk that are not actually reading these books. But I'll see what it looks like in the editing process and see if it's actually making sense. I think maybe the process of like reading one at a time might be more sensible when I'm doing a vlog, but I just tend not to read that way. I tend to switch books depending on how I'm feeling, which I always say I'm not a mood reader, but maybe that does make me a mood reader in a way. Like, I don't change my TBR as such because of how I'm feeling. Like, I just tend to pick the books that I read off my TBR. Maybe it is mood, I don't know. I always just kind of thought, okay, I've got a TBR and I kind of tend to follow it, and I do, but within the TBR that I set for myself, I think I maybe am a mood reader actually, because obviously the ones that I'm being more drawn to are of a certain type. I don't know, I'm blabbling now. So I'm going to wait to drive to the yard and catch up with a friend, and we're going to go ride. But in the 20 minutes there and back, I'm going to be listening to The Worry Cure, which is probably a good thing. I've been a bit anxious this morning. Whenever I have a lazy morning and don't really do much, I end up feeling really anxious. I'm so much better if I get up and out and do something straight away, and then I can relax all afternoon, absolutely no bother. But relaxing in the morning and then going out, does not work for my brain. And I do this every weekend. I always do this one day every weekend, and I'm like, why do I do it? Why do I lie in bed? I always feel stressy when I lie in bed, like I've wasted the day, and it really annoys me. But rant aside, I'm going to go and plug this in, and I will let you know how I got on the other side. So, trip 1 to the yard, and another 20 minutes of my book under the belt, so that's good. At this point you've kind of covered the main topic of the book, and it's more giving people examples, you know, like of how to deal with their worrying or anxious behaviour. So it's pretty interesting. I have enjoyed it. It kind of packs a punch for being such a short book, so that is definitely a success of this month's reading. Oh yay, Dylan's closer. Right, I'm going to catch the boy and meet a pal for a ride. So I will catch up. Okay, so finally back from the horse. As you can probably see, it's dark outside now, but it's only like 4:30, I think. The depressing dark winter nights. Just in the drive home, it's come down dark. And it just totally triggers off my sleepiness, which I suppose is totally natural, but just makes me feel like the day is over. It's obviously not. I've got hours left. So on my way home, I've been listening to more of the Worry Cure. I've got just over an hour of that left, so I really should finish that tomorrow in my trips to and from the yard. I'm really enjoying it. The bit I got to was really good, and it was sort of by way of dealing with uncertainty. And obviously, like, if you're an anxious, worrying kind of person, you're always trying to, like, you can be always looking for like a certain answer to a worry or a problem. I certainly do that. Like, if I'm worried about something, even if it's not something I can't control right now, I want like a definite answer to it. And he said, know what you can never know. And like, I'm like, oh, that resonates with me. I sometimes there are things I just need to accept that I can't know in the present moment, instead of sitting worrying about it and trying to get as close to an answer as possible, or making a rash decision to make the decision process over. Or these things are not that sensible, which, you know, that's kind of like a coping mechanism for me if I'm really anxious about something. If it's something I do have control about, if it's a decision, for example, I would rather have a definite answer, whether that's a good answer or a bad answer. So I would rather rush and make the decision so that the uncertainty is gone, because I can deal with good or bad, but I can't deal with the not knowing. So I feel like know what you can never know is kind of like, it's like a good bit of advice for me. It's just know when to accept some things just can't have an answer right now. So I might take a note of that. I've got a little page in my Notion app where I just kind of write down stuff that kind of sticks with me, or I think is handy to look at again. So I think I'll write that down. Something to look back on when I'm having an anxious moment. So Dylan's done for the day. We went for a hack, and I'm planning just to go in and have a cup of tea and get stuck into a book. I don't know whether I'm going to read more of Dance with the Devil or We Regret to Inform You right now. Haven't decided yet. We'll see. Probably We Regret to Inform You and try and get a bit more of that done. And then if I'm not feeling it, I'll move on to Dance with the Devil, because that's like a safe bet. Yeah, look at me. I'm planning my evening of reading. I can't just go with the flow. I have to have a plan. Anywho, that's me. So I'm gonna go and do that. Hopefully Ewan's got a cup of tea waiting for me. I let him know when I was leaving the yard, so he's usually good in that, and he will have something tasty for me. So I'm gonna go and see what guys. Hey everyone, so it's now on the second day of my 40-hour reading vlog. It's been about roughly 36 hours at this point. So yeah, so last night I read a bit more of We Regret to Inform You, so I'm probably about halfway through that one now. It's quite good. It's not quite what I expected. When I picked up the book, I kind of expected it more to be like the girl figuring out, you know, what she's going to do instead of college, or how to pick up the pieces after not getting into college, or maybe taking a gap year and then reapplying to college. I don't know, something like that. Like, don't get me wrong, like, there was hints, like, in the book, you know, that they were going to look into things and stuff like that, but I guess I kind of just figured, like, that might have been, like, a grief thing. But now it seems more that there was actually sabotage going on. Like someone interfered with her applications, which is fine. It's fine. It's interesting. I do want to know who interfered with her applications. But like, I don't know. I think I would have enjoyed it more if it had been more what I expected it to be. And I checked out a couple of reviews last night. Still non-spoiler, but there was a couple of people saying the same thing, that that's not what they expected the book to be about. So I feel like if you're going into this book expecting that, it's more of a mystery of who messed with her applications than someone actually having to deal with not getting into college, which is unfortunate, but I'm still enjoying. And there's supposed to be really good character development, so I'm going to read on and see where we go with this one. I'm a little disappointed. It's not quite what I thought it was going to be, but I'm gonna keep reading. I'm hopefully gonna finish it today. But I've got about 200 odd pages left to read, so we'll see. I didn't read any more of Dance with the Devil last night, or Worry Cure after my last check-in, so we're fresh this morning. So I'm going to wait to drive to the yard because I have a lesson. So I'm going to put on the Worry Cure for my drive there. I think I've got about an hour left to listen, so I'm kind of hoping that with the drive there and the drive home today I could get most of that finished, which would be good, and one check in the box for this weekend, because I haven't actually finished anything yet. But with the way I'm reading, like hopping between all three, that's not really surprising. I'd probably end up finishing them all at the same time, to be honest. Assuming I do, but I've got a really big reading day ahead. Ewan's got to work today, and he could do with peace and quiet and not me sitting binging Netflix, because despite the fact I'm watching 90s stuff that he shouldn't really be interested in, or pretends he's not interested in, I should say, he gets distracted and wants to watch it. So I'm gonna get home some peace and quiet today and relax and do some reading, so I'm hoping that will help me power through. Yeah, and I will catch up with you later on when I listen to a bit more of the Worry Cure. I'm not sure how much more it's going to cover. It definitely seems to be more giving examples of situations and how to deal with them, or how to think about them differently at this point. So, like, sometimes that's really good, because if it's something you relate to, then, you know, it kind of gives an example of something that really relates to you. If it's something that you don't really struggle with, then it just, I don't know, I kind of zone out a little bit, because it's just not something that I currently struggle with. There's been a couple of examples where I've just been like, okay, that's not something that I have an issue with, so I vaguely listen, but like I don't get as in depth into it as if it's something that obviously I relate to, which I think is a bit normal. But anywho, I'm going to plug in and listen to the Worry Cure for the next sort of 20-25 minutes, and I will let you know how I get on. Bye. So that's me back from going to the yard. Dylan had his first jumping lesson in a while, in fact about 2 months, the first one since his hawks was done, so that was really good. I'm knackered, and Dylan is, well, got very, very sweaty, so he absolutely needs clipped again before he gets any more jumping under his belt, because he was looking like a poodle. But I listened to more of my book, so I've got 35 minutes left of my book, so I'll definitely get that finished today. The last few chapters I mentioned earlier just seem to be like examples of how to apply the 7 steps that he talks about in the book. So like if you've got worries about your health, worries about a partner, worries about money, so he's kind of like saying, right, here's this person, this is what they're worried about, and this is like how you follow the steps to try and get a handle on your worries, kind of a thing. So it's quite good. It kind of makes you think about things a little bit differently, and it's quite handy. It's one of those books that I think I want to listen to again already, and I'm not even finished. I feel like I want to like get as much out of it as possible, and I think I will re-listen to it at some point in the future, because I've found it quite beneficial, but I'd like to get even more from it and listen to it again. So that's been a really good one. I'm gonna go in and get all cozied up. I have a bath, actually, like read in the bath or something nice like that, because I got absolutely soaked at the yard. Like I was putting Dylan out in the heavens open, so I'm absolutely soaking. So I basically want to go in and get all cozied up, but I might have a bath later this afternoon. That sounds like quite a nice idea. But right now, jammies in a blanket and a cup of tea, I think, is in order, and then I might make some chilli for lunch. Fancy like a nice stodgy kind of comfy lunch. So that's what I'm thinking of doing. So I will catch up with you later when I've got a bit more progress to let you know. This is my last check-in for my 48-hour reading vlog. So in my 48-hour stint, I've managed to finish 2 of the 3 books. So I finished The Worry Cure, wrapped that up as an audiobook, and really enjoyed it. I think I would put that at about 4 stars. Maybe just take a little bit off just because some bits and pieces were quite repetitive. But I suppose it did kind of bring his point home. I really enjoyed it. I would recommend it to anyone suffering with sort of general anxiety disorder and anything like that. And I just think it's got some good tips in there on how to kind of deal with sort of unhelpful, worrying kind of thoughts. So definitely keen on that one. And I also finished We Regret to Inform You, which, although it's not quite what I expected it was going to be, I actually ended up really enjoying. I think I said in an earlier clip I kind of thought it was going to be more how the main character was going to be dealing with her failure to get into universities and things like that, and maybe, you know, looking at other options. And there was a touch of that. She kind of did realise, kind of going through, that university and school and her academic achievements were not her entire personality, which I think is an important thing to learn. I think young people, although you definitely need to be working hard in school and doing your best, I think the race to get into uni and things like that is sometimes can be all blown out of proportion. So I think that there was some good messages in there about being, well-rounded and being happy and not just driving yourself nuts just for that university place or whatever. But the book kind of went more down the investigation into a sabotage kind of route, which was fine. And I did enjoy. I think after like the sort of university scandal, when was that, a couple of years ago now? I can't even remember. It's quite relevant in that respect. The person involved wasn't who I thought it was at the start, but it was kind of like a logical process to get to who it was. So it wasn't like shocking, but equally it wasn't who I expected from the get-go. So I think that was pretty good. The characters, I can't say I liked a lot of the characters. I love Nate. This is the main character's best friend. He was such a sweetheart. I really liked him. And the girls in the Ophelia Syndicate, they weren't perhaps the most likeable, but I respected them for just being who they wanted to be. So I'm like, you know what? Hands down, what? Good on you. I like that. I respect that. The main character was just a bit blah. Obviously she was very intelligent, did all of her CV building things and stuff. And I'm just like, well, yeah, on paper you've done all the right things, but she had no personality, not to start with anyway. She had nothing about her that made her really set her apart from anybody else. So, I think there was a couple of comments about how, yeah, okay, she was really, really smart, but, how did that separate her out from anybody else? And I think that was a fair point. She'd done the whole schooling route so much that she kind of lost her own personality, really, and was just the overachiever was her personality, and that was right, okay, that's actually kind of dull. But she, like I say, that got better. I can't say that I ever really liked her that much. She kind of came across as having a bit of a chip on her shoulder with her upbringing and stuff, just because obviously everyone else at the fancy private school seemed to have had a bit of an easier run of it, or money wasn't an issue or whatever, and obviously they had to work really hard to get her into the school and pay for the tuition and stuff. So yeah, she definitely had a different outlook in that respect. I mean, I was in a similar situation. I got into private school and was on a scholarship and wasn't in the same financial situation as most of my peers, but I don't know, I don't feel like I was the same as her, and she just seemed to have a real chip, oh well, they had better, I had to work harder, so it's almost like I deserve more because I had to work harder for this, or I don't know. She just I didn't warm to her very much. I was just a bit you kind of, I don't know. There was a conversation between her and Nate where he basically called her on being a bit entitled and feeling like she was better than everybody else, and I was like,
yeah, that was kind of fair. Like, you needed to call her on that. She wasn't, um, like I say, she was going through a stressful situation and stuff. But I was just a bit like, your happiness in life was all based on this one thing, and then when that went, you had nothing else to fall back on. It's like that's a really unhealthy way to live. Overall, I did like the book. I liked it. I think the second half was far superior to the first half. Like the first little bit where it was setting the scene with her rejections and stuff, I quite enjoyed that bit. That was quite funny. And then there was like a good chunk, a good third pushing half of the book, really, that was quite slow and a bit just her wandering about in a fanny, like, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? And like nothing really happened. It was just her freaking out, which I think that was fine, but I think that part went on too long. That there was it took too long to get into the meat of the story. Once it got into the story and the investigation and stuff, then it got really interesting and I really enjoyed it. Um, but there was just it was a bit too long. I think they could have cut a good 50, 60 pages out at least, of her rambling, wandering about in a tizzy. Which I get she was in a tizzy, there was a real reason for it, but I don't know. Overall, I did like, and I think it's definitely one, if if you like that kind of thing, it's worth reading. I've noticed lately I'm reading quite a lot of contemporaries, which and YA contemporaries at that, which is very very odd for me. It's not what I would normally go for, but I've seemed to have read quite a few of them this year, and I feel like I want a break from them. I don't know. I feel like part of the reason I maybe was a little bored with this one is I've read a few high school set kind of YA contemporaries this year, and I think I'm a little bored of the genre, so I'm going to take a wee break from reading ones like that. But I said I would give this one a 3.5 stars. It's not quite good enough to be a 4. I just feel like that dragging section was too much to be a 4, and the main character just wasn't. There wasn't enough to her to really like or dislike. So I feel like she could have done with a bit more something. But then again, maybe that was the way it was meant to be done. Maybe they were trying to show that she had nothing else in her life, and that was maybe, I don't know. It could have been on purpose, but like I say, I think I would give it a 3.5. I don't think it's worth a 4. I've read a lot of good, solid books this year that I'd give a 4 star to. I think a lot of my star ratings this year have been a 4, and I just don't think this one's quite up to that. So I'm going to go with 3.5. Although I think I'd only mark it as 3 in Goodreads, obviously. So the last book that I was trying to finish this weekend was, of course, Dance with the Devil, and I'm almost there. I'm on page 227 of 360. So I'm probably going to finish that in the next couple of days. And I'm enjoying that one. It also has a draggy portion in like the first bit's good, there's a drag, and then it gets better, and it's the same as kind of what the last book was like. So we're into the better portion of that one again. So that one shouldn't take too long to finish. So I will do that, and you can see maybe a fuller wrap up at the end of the month when I do my November wrap up. But thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. It definitely gave me a bit more motivation to get through these books this weekend because I was very slumpy. Like I say, I will be back with another video soon, and hope you have a great day. Bye.